3 million shillings for silver medalist and 2 million shillings for bronze medalist. The member is also seeking to have a non-financial motivation, including facilitation with issuance of diplomatic passports for established sportsmen and women, appointment as goodwill ambassadors, and conferring national honors and privileges, and finally establishing a medical cover and a post-retirement social protection scheme, including establishment of a contributory insurance and saving schemes to support sports persons who retire from active sporting due to injuries or matters to do with age. So away from the motion that is seeking to boost the operations in the sports sector and celebrate the athletes and sportsmen who are setting new records and giving the country pride, the expansion of the major roads in the country to dual carriageways, being motion number 2 of the year 2024, is lined up for debate this morning. This motion is by Honorable Faith Gitau. Faith Gitau, in her motion, states that the Kenya Roads Act Cap 408 provides for the establishment of road authorities responsible for, among other functions, the management and development of roads under their respective purview, and for the developing and providing of adequate transport infrastructure that guides safe and efficient movement of people, goods and services across the country and beyond. And further aware that the first schedule of the Kenya Road Act provides for the classification of roads into class A, B and C, and recognizing that under the 4th schedule of the Constitution, the operation of the national trunk roads, noting that significant portion of highways in the national trunk road networks are currently single carriageways, and concerned that during peak periods, which limit movements of people, goods and services across the regions and increases vulnerabilities to road accidents, the House resolves that the government, through the Ministry of Roads and Transport, undertakes the expansion program of national trunk roads with a view of upgrading all classes A, B and C roads in the country from two-way lanes to dual carriageways or one-way roads with the necessary infrastructure that includes footbridges, safe crossing zones at regular road joints, and two-way lanes to dual carriageways with the intervals and proper drainage systems and other requisite infrastructure in their optimal operation. The House will equally this morning debate a motion on the implementation of the universal health coverage and a policy on the mandatory use of public health care facilities by public officers. This motion by Honorable Sabina Chege, that is seeking to have public officers mandated to use public health facilities under the universal health coverage. The member, through this motion, is seeking to have the National Assembly resolve that the government, through the Ministry of Health, implements the Kenya Universal Health Coverage Policy of 2020 to 2030 and introduce a policy on mandatory use of healthcare coverage policy and use of healthcare public healthcare facilities by all civil servants, public officers and state officers in the country. The members of the National Assembly are still streaming into the chamber this morning to allow the House raise a quorum of at least 550 members of Parliament to allow the House commence business, this being a sitting on Wednesday morning.
Quorum bell can now be stopped. I confirm that we have quorum. And members, you can now take your seats. We may start. All members have confirmed that we have quorum. And the Honorable Amboka, it's not your job to look for quorum for the House. You are completely out of order, Honorable Jack Wamboka. Out of order totally. You are so out of order, Honorable Wamboka. Take your seat. Honorable Jack Wamboka, take your seat. Order. I think we can start the House business.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader, Majority Whip.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House. Today, Wednesday, March 5th, 2025, morning sitting. Reports of the Auditor General and financial statement for the years ended 30th June 2021, 30th June 2022, 30th June 2023, and the certificate therein in respect of number 1, Bishop Edward Donovan Secondary School, 2, Bura Girls High School, 3, Gatamayu High School, 4, Hiriga Girls Secondary School, 5, Akashiri Secondary School, 6, Ikanga Girls Secondary School, 7, Olodokilani Secondary School, 8, Kamadura Girls High School, 9, Karia Boys Secondary School, 10, Kasikeo Boys Secondary School, 11, Kipopei Secondary School, 12, Kibishiku Secondary School, 13, Kibiru Girls Secondary School, 14, Kirima Girls High School, 15, Lake Solai Secondary School, 16, Mazeras High School, 17, Muruira Boys Secondary School, 18, Ngala Secondary School for the deaf, 19, Nkueni Girls High School, 20, Noromaru Girls Secondary School, 21, Nyeri High School, 22, Our Lady of Fatima Chinga Girls High School, number 23, Ribe Girls Secondary School, 24, St. Thomas Secondary School, Kilifi, 25, St. Jude Girls Secondary School, Makueni, 26, St. Mary's High School, Lushangonyi, 27, St. Thomas Aquinas Boys Tomandu Secondary School, 28, Stella Maris Odaya Girls High School, 29, Wagals Secondary School, and 30, Weru Secondary School. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I lay.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Members, if you have the order paper, the questions will follow the pattern in which they appear in the last page of the order paper. So, the Honorable Joyce Kamene is in the House. The Honorable Joyce Kamene, are you ready with your... You got the mic already with you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to request for a statement regarding the effects of withdrawal for funding by United States agencies for international development in Kenya. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 44-2C, I rise to request for a statement from the chairpersons of the Department Committee of Health regarding the effects of withdrawal of fundings by the United States agencies for international development, USAID, in Kenya. Honorable Speaker, the abrupt suspension of U.S. foreign aid under USAID has significantly disrupted critical programs in the country. This suspension, which took effect on 24th January 2025, resulted from the U.S. Presidential Executive Order, mandating the re-evaluation and realignment of U.S. foreign aid. Consequently, all new funding obligations and sub-obligations under the U.S. Development Objective Agreements has been halted for 30 days. With the livelihoods of permanent withdrawals from some projects. Honorable Speaker, the halting of fundings has really caused severe economic and social disruptions, leading to the loss of at least 35,000 jobs, both directly and indirectly, as many non-governmental organizations, NGOs, in the health, agriculture, education sectors, among others, rely on USAID-backed contracts. Additionally, the healthcare sector is among the most affected, with thousands of doctors, nurses, midwives, and community health workers facing imminent unemployment. USAID has allocated Kenya shillings 18 million to HIV/AIDS programs, shillings 7.6 billion to basic health care, and 5.8 billion to maternal and child health, including family planning. These initiatives have been lifeline for many communities, and this disruption jeopardizes the ability for the country to meet its health targets. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Department Committee of Health on following: the immediate steps being taken to ensure that critical health
Honorable
programs...
Alta Owino, go back and do the right thing. Go ahead.
The immediate steps being taken to ensure that critical health programs such as HIV, AIDS, and tuberculosis management continues undisrupted. The second one, the measures in place to support and retain healthcare workers affected by the suspension of the USAID funding. And the third one, the long-term strategies being adapted to ensure sustainable financing of the health and other crucial sectors using domestic resources, therefore reducing reliance on foreign aid. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
This shall be referred to the Committee on Health. I don't know, I cannot see the chair of the Committee of Health. Any member of that committee? The Honorable Nyamai, what did you want to comment about on this? Okay, go ahead. 1 minute for you, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would like to make a comment on the statement that has been raised by the Honorable Kamene, member for Machakos County. Yes, I congratulate her for bringing this matter to the House. I would like to ask the Departmental Committee on Health, as they respond to this issue, to bear in mind that there is a new world order, that the withdrawal and reduction of funding is happening all over the world, and it seems that the United States of America has decided through their current leadership to make decisions that affect all of us. Mr. Speaker, I would like to say that from the time that I was chair for health in the 11th Parliament, the issue of over-reliance of donor funding, and especially on matters which concern us so much, including family planning, Honorable Speaker, this is a matter that we need to wake up as a country and fund ourselves. We cannot keep on relying on donors to take care of matters that concern our core livelihoods, including that even getting infected with HIV, which has quite a long history. I know that there are international programs, but I think that it is time we wake up and make right decisions. Thank you for giving me the chance, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Member for Nairobi, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to commend Joyce Kameme for bringing this, and I agree with Honorable Rachel Nyamai that the world order is changing. I think this is a time for us as a country to reflect on how Singaporeans actually decided to decisively deal with corruption, decisively deal with the need to serve their own people. Uhuru Kenyatta was the first to pronounce himself on USAID's withdrawal and the American government withdrawing funds, essential funds that have been committed to Africa.
Who is Uhuru Kenyatta?
The former president of Kenya, Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta. He actually pronounced himself on the issue of dependence on donor aid, and we should become looking towards being sustainable on our own. I think it's a wake-up call. We need to decisively deal with corruption so that we have enough resources to be able to cope with the demands that we have in our country. And that is the one area that Singapore was successful, and that will heighten and raise the patriotism that we need in our country. If we don't raise our patriotism, Kenya will suffer, and we cannot afford to suffer. We've got 50 to 60 million people depending on us as government. So we need to ensure that we become self-reliant. And I think it is important for us to call a spade, not a spoon. The US and all these countries that have loaned the African countries money and are not willing to give us loss and damage in terms of climate change. We need to also say, if they want to withdraw essential funding, which have been cushioning us because of the various loans that they've given us at very high interest rates, then they also stand the risk of us serving our people first before we serve their debts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Members, this statement is referred to the committee on health, and we hope they can give a report in the next 3 weeks. Members, before I give the member for Nairobi again, join me in recognizing and welcoming students from Loreto Convent, Songari Junior Secondary School, Westlands constituency, Nairobi County, and students from Our Lady of Fatima Kiriko Girls School, Batunu North in Kiambu County. They are welcome to follow proceedings this morning and to Parliament. Thank you. Now, member for Nairobi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44.2c, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Health regarding the status of security at the Kenyatta National Hospital. Honorable Speaker, security in healthcare facilities is foundational in providing safe and effective care as it safeguards patients, protects staff, secures assets, and ensures prompt emergency response while maintaining a secure environment for the vulnerable in hospitals. Regrettably, recent events have raised serious concerns on the security measures at our national hospitals. On 7th February 2025, Mr. Gilbert Kinyua was found dead in Ward 7B at the Kenyatta National Hospital after having been brutally murdered. Similarly, at the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital in Eldoret County, a 52-year-old cancer patient, Mr. Albert Chesang, mysteriously disappeared from his hospital bed on the 29th of January 2025. His decomposing body was later discovered on the 9th of February 2025, approximately 200 meters away from the hospital on the banks of River Sosiani. Earlier, on 29th November 2015, Mr. Cosmos Mutunga was found dead in his hospital bed in Kenyatta National Hospital, having been stabbed severally using a sharp object. Honorable Speaker, despite the brutal murders of Mr. Cosmos Mutunga and Mr. Gilbert Kinyua, no arrests have been made to date, yet the said patients were killed in the presence of other patients. These incidences therefore paint a grim picture on the security of healthcare facilities and the need for higher security standards within such spaces. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Health on the following. A report on the investigation into the death of Mr. Cosmos Mutunga, who was brutally murdered on 29th November 2015, including an expansion on the inordinate delay of justice, given that no arrests have been made to date. 2, actions being taken by the Ministry of Health to investigate the deaths of Mr. Gilbert Kinyua and the apprehension of the suspects responsible for his brutal murder. 3, measures being put in place to ensure the establishment of robust security mechanisms that ensure the safety of patients admitted or visiting public hospitals under the national government. And 5, efforts being made to ensure that the families of the deceased persons are duly compensated by Kenyatta National Hospital and Moi Teaching and Referral Hospitals, respectively, due to the negligence in its duty of care owed to their kin. I thank you, Honourable Speaker.
This question is referred to the Committee on Health. Majority Whip. Majority Whip. Order. Majority Whip. I'm looking for your attention. Because the next time these matters come up, I will not ask the chairs, I'll ask you about them. The first statement was by the member for Machakos County on withdrawal of funds by USAID. This one is about security at Kenyatta National Hospital. Because you cannot see the chairman of that committee here, it's going to be your duty to ensure that these statements are responded to. I hope you heard the statement question she requested.
Yes, I heard, and I'm sure it will be responded to.
In how long?
Thank you. I think immediately after recess.
That's 3 weeks from today?
Yes.
Okay. I hope you note that, the member for Nairobi County. The next question is from the member for West Mugirango.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to make this statement. The Honorable Speaker, pursuant to provisions of Standing Order number 42C, I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Regional Development regarding the state of preparedness of our country for the cyclical wet season in the Lake Victoria rain belt and particularly the Gusii Highlands.
The member for Nairobi, I would request you take your seat for a few minutes. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the wet season, which ordinarily commences around the month of March, which we are in, is characterized by very heavy rain, lightning, flooding, hailstones, and very destructive storm water. Residents of the hilly Lake Victoria rain belt, including those in West Mugirango and Gusii land, suffer immense loss of property, lives, and livelihoods during this rainy season. Crops, Mr. Speaker, get wiped away. Crops like tea, vegetable, and sometimes even gravel roads completely get wiped away, making the roads unmotorable. Despite the budget allocations for emergency and humanitarian responses, there has not been any significant permanent intervention for preventing and mitigating the impact of these cyclical and recurrent disasters. This has affected the economic growth of my constituency, the Gusii region and the Lake Victoria rain belt, making the cost of living extremely high and occasionally subjecting some homes to starvation. Mr. Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on regional development on the following. Measures the government has put in place to ensure timely and effective information on hazardous weather so that the residents of West Mogrango and other affected areas within the hilly Lake Victoria rain belt become warned in good time. Number two, a detailed report on the interventions being implemented by the government to ensure timely emergency response, including prepositioning of relief supplies to affected families and homes. Number three, Mr. Speaker, I'm looking for the long-term mitigation strategies that the government intends to adopt to address these recurrent disasters, including climate adaptation measures that the residents and citizens need to be educated on. And finally, Mr. Speaker, I'm looking for measures being made to educate and equip residents with knowledge on disaster management so as to improve their resilience and mitigate the effects of the recurrent harsh weather conditions. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. You want to comment on this? On this request for statement? Go ahead. 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. While I appreciate our girls who are in the galleries and to welcome them in Parliament, Mr. Speaker, but also to say I think that statement is very critical. And when you look at the weather right now, the way it is, and very hot, it means the rains that are going to come, Mr. Speaker, are not going to be rains that we will start screaming again when our people are being taken by floods, when Nairobi is just becoming more chaotic. And so it's not just for Kisii, but I think the most important thing, as the chairman brings his answers to this House, Mr. Speaker, we would want to see how are we prepared, because we are going to go into a very tough turmoil, and we will hate to see what happened last year happening again, as if we have not learned our lessons. So for me, Mr. Speaker, it's about Nairobi. I remember in Mathare we lost many lives at night. It should never happen, and I'm hoping we are preparing, and government is preparing, not just saying preparing, then when it comes to that time, but also even us ourselves, that we are not throwing garbages in those drainages, that we are trying to clear those drainages, because that's what now makes everyone go through that flood. So thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm hoping we'll have a comprehensive answer on that matter of how well we are prepared.
Thank you. The Honorable Wako, there seems to be no chairs in the House today. What we expect on this is a comprehensive settlement, not on Kisii, but for the country holistically. What is our preparedness about the wet season for the whole country? I hope you can relay this to the chairperson of the relevant committee. And therefore, the request is referred to the Committee on Regional Development. The next one is a member for Ndaragwa. It's in the House. This should be in the next 2 weeks, or 3 weeks for that matter, because of the break. The Honorable Wako, the next 3 weeks. When you come from recess, we want an answer on that report. Member for Ndaragwa is in the House. The member for Westlands, you have been on intervention for a while now.
Mr. Speaker, I had wanted to comment on the statement that Esther, the member from Nairobi had presented, but I don't know if it is overtaken by events or we can still comment.
You can go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, I was also just concerned about this security at our health facilities. If people can walk in a ward in a hospital and murder somebody and just get away with it, and nobody is responding or is being responsible to that, it just raises a lot of concern. Because when we go to these facilities, we believe there's enough security and somebody will be secure at the hospital. But if it happens like that, Mr. Speaker, it raises a lot of concern, and we want those who are concerned, the Kenyatta Hospital and others, and including our security, not now just the hospital, to tell Kenyans what exactly happened. And we want this report to give the family of that member, that so that they can rest their person in peace, Mr. Speaker. And also, just knowing that our country.
Now, the member for Mwala. Order, member for Mwala. The member for. It is member for Mwala. What's wrong with you? From the 28th of March 2013, up to now you still don't know how to. No, you can't do that, Vincent Kawaya. Do the right thing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that is what I want to comment. Thank you very much.
The Roma Club, you don't work with your card at all. Where's your card? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your indulgence. First, Mr. Speaker, allow me, on behalf of the people of Baringo, and Baringo North in particular, to thank members of this House who made their way to Baringo North in the burial of our Senator William Cheptumo. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the President, thank the speakers of this House, led by our own Dr. Wetangula and Hamason Kingi of the Senate, the leader of majorities, Kimani Ichung'wah, and Honorable Haron Cheriot, and all members who came to Baringo North. On behalf of the people, the support that you gave us, all the way, I can even see my good friend Ariko from Turkana, who made his way to Baringo North, and even Tito Raso, who made his way to Baringo North, and even met our General Dauti Tonje, the man that is famous with the Tonje rules in the military. So, Speaker, I want to thank all of you for the support you gave to the family and the support you gave to the other families, including Malulu and the others. So, Speaker, we shall remember you for that very gracious support you gave to us. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, allow me to eulogize another former member of parliament from Baringo North, one Willie Rotich Kamuren, who served this House and served the people of Baringo North and the people of Baringo East, what is called currently Teati. So, Speaker, Willie Rotich Kamuren is of the Sawe exit of our culture, and he started his parliamentary business as a member of parliament of Teati, or what is called Baringo East, currently called Teati, represented by Honorable Kamket, for one full term from 1963 to 1969. So, Speaker, after that, he was able to move to Baringo North and serve the people of Baringo North from 1988 to 1997, again for 2 terms, Mr. Speaker, cumulatively serving for more than 15 years in Parliament. So, Speaker, Honorable Willie Kamuren also served as Assistant Minister in Moi government, Madam Speaker. And this man is full of proverbs, full of wisdom, full of jokes, Mr. Speaker. He speaks in a language that if you think he's annoying you, but he's creating fun. He was a great friend of the late second president of the Republic of Kenya, and a man that is known for developing Baringo North in various aspects, Mr. Speaker, from the first tarmac that has entered Baringo North during the courtesy of Honorable Willie Kamuren, the tarmac that connects from Kabarnet all the way to Kabartonjo to Kipsaraman. Madam Speaker, that is the man that we've known for many years. He actually succeeded in employing many people, especially those of Kipkoimet generation, to become county commissioners, to become DOs. Some of them now are retiring, and teachers, and other civil servants, Madam Speaker. So this man set a firm foundation of leadership in Baringo North and served the people of Baringo North without any favor or discrimination. Today, the locations that we have in Baringo North, after Kamuren, we've just added some few locations. The locations created many administrative units, many sub-locations, many locations, Saraman Division, Partapwa Division, Parwesa Division, courtesy of Honorable Willie Rotich Kamuren. He's a staunch Christian that helped to build the AIC Kabartonjo, and even AIC Mlimani, together with Daniel Toroitich Arab Moi. They actually they built the AIC Mlimani from Mapati to what AIC Mlimani is today. Madam Speaker, he helped many people go to school. Most of us were young people during his time, and he lent us an hand. Madam Speaker, this is one of the only sons of Baringo North, few, who have an hotel in town of the CBD of Nairobi. Most of those who came to Nairobi to study and do business did not own even a single business in the CBD, competing with the people who came to Nairobi first. The Grand Holiday Hotel here in Ngara, in Accra Road. Mr. Speaker, it is good for you to know for the record. Madam Speaker, to end it, to sum it all, I just want to say that this is a man that has lived a full life. He actually in the 90 years and above. And we thank God for the years that he gave to Willie Kamuren, and there will be fundraising to support his funeral on Tuesday, 11 of March, and there will be burial on Saturday, 15, in his home in Ayepo, Turkuin. Madam Speaker, even Ayepo High School, courtesy of Kamuren, even Moika Bartonjo, courtesy of Kamuren, Osen, and many other schools that are outstanding. He set a firm foundation for education, where I have taken over, Madam Speaker. And for the record, it is important for this House that in the last KCSE, courtesy of those schools that I took over now and be able to pump a lot of resources and human capital, Madam Speaker, Baringo North was able to send 1,803 students to university, which is 62% transition. We are 50+1 in terms of education, Madam Speaker. So with those very many remarks, Madam Speaker, I wish Honorable Kamket was here because he served in his constituency. Kamket, you are behind me. You also give an opportunity to Kamket because he served in his place. But I want to say, may his soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Maclap. Although it's not in your place to give a chance to the Honorable Kamket, I am going to go ahead and allow the Honorable Kamket, member for Tiati, also to give his good words as you have done. You may proceed, member for Tiati.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to join my colleague, member for Baringo North, in eulogizing and remembering the life of the Honorable Willie Kamuren. Madam Speaker, the Honorable Kamuren was the first MP for Baringo East constituency, which was later renamed Tiati constituency. Madam Speaker, those of us who come from Tiati constituency, those of my age do not remember him when he was MP because we were not born. He was an independence MP because Tiati is an independence constituency, Madam Speaker. But, Madam Speaker, the stories we have been told by our fathers, and later on in life we have come to meet him as a former MP, is that Honorable Kamuren, number one, was a very, very joyful man to be with. He had a very serious mastery of the Tugen and Pokot language, which are quite similar. especially the Aror and the Pokot languages. The Aror is a subtribe of the Tugen. Madam Speaker, the Honorable Cameron was a very serious peacemaker. And he used his mastery of language to always unite the communities of the Pokot and the Tugen. Madam Speaker, at those times when there was little education in those sides of Tiati, the Honorable Cameron was the people of Baringo North were magnanimous enough to give us their son to serve as our first MP. Folklore is full of stories that my own father became the chief campaigner of his opponent. And my father played a big role in the ousting of Honorable Cameron and the coming in of the second MP of Baringo East at that time, the one Honorable, the late Stephen Lomeri Cheptai. And Madam Speaker, for the years that we have, that constituency has existed, the people of Baringo East and Tiati, for that matter, are forever grateful for the services of that gentleman. I have had occasion to meet him when he has he's been aging gracefully. He's always been present in the members' lounge. Honorable Cameron is a man full of wisdom. He was a great friend of the late President Moi and the eminent sons of Baringo at that time, Mzee Philemon Chelagat and Mzee Bultut, who was the county council chairman of Baringo. We pride ourselves as sons of Baringo and daughters of Baringo to have had such wise men to lead our county in the various capacities that they led. And I want to say, Madam Speaker, that the peace that we enjoy and the development that we enjoy in that region is because of the work of our forefathers, the foundations that they laid, the strong foundations, the strong educational foundations. Baringo North, as we speak, Madam Speaker, as Honorable McLeod spoke earlier, is the pillar of education in Baringo. And I want to say that Tiati is coming in very fast. And very soon we are going to overtake those who went ahead of us. Madam Speaker, we as the people of Tiati will forever be grateful for the services of Honorable Cameron, and we shall fully participate in this honorable sending off as both as a constituency and as a people. And we remain united as the people of Baringo, and we wish the family of Honorable Cameron God's grace at this time, and may his soul rest in eternal peace. Amen.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, on behalf of the Speaker and all other members of the House who have not given their condolences, may the soul of the Honorable Cameron rest in peace. Honorable members, before we proceed, we have several schools seated in the public gallery. We have Cornerstone Academy from Kasarani constituency, Nairobi County. We have Loreto Convent Musangari Junior Secondary School, Westlands constituency, Nairobi County. Our Lady of Fatima Kiriko Girls from Gatundu North, Kiambu County. You are welcome to the National Assembly to continue observing the proceedings of the House. And I would like to welcome the member for Nairobi County, to welcome all students from all schools, and more specifically, the ones from the Loreto Convent. Member for Nairobi County, you may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would like to welcome the students from Nairobi, Loreto Convent, and Cornerstone, and also the ones from across the counties in Kenya. When they come here as students, they're coming here on an observation to understand what it is that government does. I want to take this opportunity to say, work hard. Your parents and your government are working very hard to ensure that you have a good education. So work hard, We are here to make laws, and laws are made for all citizens, including our children. What I want to say is when we met the president a few years ago, he had a message, especially for the girl child. He said to us to tell you that we're investing so much in education because we want you to grow and be able to become responsible citizens of society. And his biggest concern and his message to all the students in Kenya, especially the girl child, is please try as much as possible to focus on education and not early teenage pregnancies. He was concerned at the number of children that are getting pregnant. Now, we do know that a number of children who get pregnant are not the children who are children who've been defiled or abused. We're also working very hard with the president having given us 100 million shillings to ensure that we deal with gender-based violence decisively. If a child has been abused, defiled, please do not fear. Talk to your parents, talk to your aunties, talk to your teachers, because we want as much as possible for girls to be girls. Children should not be moms. Children should be children. So we want you to work hard, we want you to put God ahead of you, and we want you to feel protected by your government and provided for by your government. And we wish you well. And I hope that one of these days in the future, all of you in the gallery will be in this August House defending the people and bringing the good laws that we need in this country. Welcome to the Parliament. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Donya.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I've just watched the gallery. We have so many girls. Being mothers is good. We give them a word which can keep them moving. Our girls up there, Mama County from Kisii tells you your superpower is education. There are things money can't buy, like manners, respect, and your reputation. That money cannot give. You give yourself. You cannot be a superwoman with many boyfriends, but you can be a superwoman with education. Bye-bye.
Honorable members, I would like we end the welcome remarks there. Honorable members, I note that the Honorable George Gachagua is in the House, and I would like to give you a chance to present your statement. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 44, Section 2, Part C, I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure regarding the urgent need for speed bumps and other safety measures at the Equator area and Monunga stretch along Nyahururu Nyeri Road. Honorable Speaker, the Kenya National Highway Authority is responsible for the development, rehabilitation, management, and maintenance of national roads. However, there have been a high number of tragic accidents which have occurred on Monunga stretch along Nyahururu Nyeri Road, claiming several lives in what is attributed to the road's poor design and lack of appropriate speed control measures, a mandate that falls within the responsibility of KENHA. The absence of properly designed speed bumps, particularly in Monunga, where there is a lot of pedestrian movement, has created a high-risk situation for both motorists and pedestrians. Local residents and road users along this road have consistently raised concerns about the absence of speed bumps, yet no adequate safety measures have been put in place to mitigate the risks. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure addressing the following. 1. Plans for installing properly designed and clearly marked speed bumps at strategic points along the Nyahururu Nyeri Road, particularly in the Equator area, Monunga stretch, and other identified high-risk zones. The measures, Honorable Speaker, being undertaken to enhance road safety through the installation of proper signage, reflective markers, and other visual aids to ensure optimal visibility and adequate warning to road users, especially during nighttime and adverse weather conditions. And also, Madam Speaker, the timelines, number 3, the timelines for implementation of these road safety improvements, including completion dates for the installation of speed bumps, warning signs, and associated road safety infrastructure. Madam Speaker, we have witnessed a lot of accidents, especially along Equator area. I have personally called the personnel concerned, and they have always been promising me to do it, though they have actually delayed in doing it, and I have talked to my people not to raise the artificial bumps. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Gachagua, I believe that you finalized the statement and now you are doing some explanation.
Okay, thank you,
What
Madam
you have said
Speaker.
is
Thank you,
enough.
Madam. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm sorry.
Honorable members, I will give just one person a chance. The Honorable Rindikiri Mugambi, you would like to comment on that statement?
Yes, thank you. I think Engineer Gachagua has brought up a very important point for discussion by this House. Madam Speaker, this organization, Kenya Highway Loans Authority, to me is very responsive. Madam Speaker, sorry, there has been questions in this House. There has been death on transnational highways. And we have seen no action being taken by this organization. Madam Speaker, we are asking you to issue a directive that the CS in charge of transport to come here specifically and face the members and tell us why Kenya Highways Loans Authority does not act despite the continuing death on our roads. Madam Speaker, there is a lot from Isiolo to Ruili. We have written letters. We have held meetings. There is the famous Nanyuki, Meru Town, Isiolo, Soboigan Junction, where it's every day there is a kind of an accident. And this organization, despite meetings, they respond nothing. Madam Speaker, I think the right time has come, and let it be the last statement to be sought in this country by this parliament. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
I do not see the chairman. The chair, transport and infrastructure in the House. But of course, we have the whip. So this statement is referred to the Transport and Infrastructure Committee. When will we have the statement, Madam Whip?
I think
Honorable Naomi Wako, member for Marsabit.
Yes, I think to be precise, after recess, because in 2 weeks' time we'll go for recess.
That's in 2 weeks. You're giving a timeline of about 2 weeks?
Yes.
That is in order. Make sure that that information reaches the chair, whip. Next order.
Order number 8, the National Police Service Commission Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 23 of 2024, second reading, question to be put.
Order, member for Nairobi County and member for Taveta. Honorable members, I now put the question that the National Police Service Commission Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 23 of 2024 be now read a second time. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the National Police Service Commission Act 2011. Order number 9, the Basic Education Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 59 of 2023, second reading.
Thank you. The Honorable Mary Wamaua. You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the Basic Education Amendment Bill, National Assembly number 59 of 2023, be read a second time. Madam Speaker,
This bill is amending Section 18(2) of the Basic Education Act 2013, which states that the County Education Board may, in consultation with the National Education Board and relevant stakeholders, appoint a sub-county education office with the clear function and powers. Madam Speaker, this one talks of may, so it is not a must. And that is why, Madam Speaker, I saw it okay, so that we may have, under the current structure of County Education Board, the CEB, which has the option of establishing a sub-county office as a liaison. While the liaison office at the sub-county plays a role, its functions are still validated by the county board. This Honorable Speaker has led to significant delays in critical education functions such as school registration, school management reports review, and other administrative approvals. Madam Speaker, some of the counties that have very fast geographical jurisdiction covering multiple constituencies, and with that, we have to face delays in validating and approving things. Madam Speaker, if you take an example of Nairobi County, Kiambu County, and Nakuru County, you will see how long sometimes some of the issues required to be done and that need urgent attention takes a long time before the county is able to transact all what is required, and the same goes to Jogoo, and then by the time it gets back, we waste a lot of time, while else some of these things can be done by the sub-county education board, if only we can be able to pass this amendment. Honorable Speaker, previously, under the old administrative structure, before the 2010 Constitution, we had the District Education Board. The District Education Board, the DEB, was responsible for registering and management of educational institutions in the sub-county, working to complement the provincial and the National Education Board. While else today, Madam Speaker, we do not have, and that is why I'm requesting this House to agree that we amend by bringing back the sub-county education board so that we can be able to give a bit of some efficiency and fast track this without a lot of the delays. The replacement of district education board, Madam Speaker, model with liaison offices has resulted in a lot of inefficiencies, creating bottlenecks in service delivery at the local level. The idea behind this bill, Madam Speaker, was conceived after observing the delays and the bureaucratic handles in school registration and administration due to the centralized nature of county education board. Madam Speaker, this bill proposes as follows. One, the establishment of sub-county education boards. This will have legal authority to oversee and manage education matters at the sub-county level, thus reducing dependency on the county board for each and every decision. Madam Speaker, a lot of what is required to be done as far as our learning institution is concerned is merely the work of the county education board. What the sub-county education do is just to oversee where the county education board will come to validate a rubber stamp, something that would have already been done by the sub-county education board, and the same maybe fast-tracked to get it to the ministry. This bill proposes to give the sub-county board the mandate to handle the following functions independently. One, it can have the registration and establishment of a bank data of all education and training institutions in the sub-county. Madam Speaker, the officers in the sub-county offices understudy the terrains and the geographical areas and the needs of the local people more better than the county officials who are far away from it. And therefore, issues to do with the registration of the schools in an area where it is required, including establishment of all the data information required. This one can be fast-tracked by the sub-county education office, and the same gotten maybe a copy given to the county education board, but immediately it will be able to get to the ministry offices, and any reply which is needed will be able to get to the required client. Madam Speaker, too, in consultation with the resident of the sub-county, recommended institution may receive funding for infrastructural development. Madam Speaker, you understand that even for infrastructure development that are required in the schools, this is still the work of the county education board. And therefore, you will find that a lot is usually done by the sub-county, but it cannot be enough until when it is validated by the county education board members for it to get it to the national office or Jogo, so that a list can be developed for all those schools that really require the infrastructure. But we can be able to save time and a lot of delay, whereby this one can be given to the sub-county education board if only we agree to establish and to legalize, to give it power and the function that is supposed to do, and we avoid a lot of wasting time. Madam Speaker, the review of the Board of Management reports of the respective schools within the sub-county and submit the reports to the county education board. Madam Speaker, you can imagine, right now we were reviewing and renewing the BOM members for all the primary schools and secondary school. And imagine, Madam Speaker, if a certain county like Nairobi or Nakuru or Kiambu and others that are very fast, you imagine how long it will be taken if at all it is the county education body that is weighted to do all this. They usually organize themselves in a way that the sub-county officials do this, but that is not their work. So what this bill is proposing, we give the mandate for the sub-county education members who understand the areas and the need of majority of the schools, so that it is done, and whatever they come out with is what now will be taken to the county just to note and then forwarded to the ministry. But you see, if we wait for the county education board, it cannot, and it will take such a long time. So whatever is usually done is what we really want, just to put it into law and within the Education Act, so that it's not like an alleged program within the county education office. Madam Speaker, the sub-county can also be allowed to assess the budgetary requirement of running institution in the sub-county and develop allocation programs, including programs on allocation of institutional ranch. Madam Speaker, you find that all this, even the ranch program, is still the work of the county education boards. And therefore, if at all we bring back the sub-county education board, just like the way long time we had the district education board, we are going to make some of these areas very easy, and we still save on time. Madam Speaker, we can also give the performance of any other function that may be assigned by the county education board without waiting for the county education board members coming to the sub-county or to a given school. This is work that can be delegated within the mandate of the sub-county Education Board to be done, and therefore being more efficient and saving a lot of time. Madam Speaker, also, the bill proposes on the decentralization of decision-making power. Madam Speaker, you understand, within our constitution, we have talked of devolution, meaning bringing services closer to our people. And if we go ahead and establish the sub-county education board, we are making sure that whatever is required is centralized or decentralized within the area where the issue has come from, instead of waiting until when the county education board will come on site to get on what is required. Therefore, Madam Speaker, the sub-county offices will no longer act merely as liaison offices, waiting for mercy from the county education board, but will be empowered to be a board in order to process and approve certain functions, including school registration, management oversight, and therefore this will still be assisting in making sure that we are really not wasting a lot of time. Madam Speaker, the board will also improve on service delivery in schools. By reducing bottlenecks caused by large county jurisdiction, the bill will ensure that administrative tasks will be handled efficiently. Madam Speaker, some counties are very big. They have so many sub-counties. And you can imagine, Madam Speaker, if many of the schools, because most of the time we ask for the requirements or even the quarterly reports that are required, and you imagine the county education board is waited to look at them before they are subjected or they are taken to the national office. Madam Speaker, this will take a lot of time. Believe it is given to be done by the sub-county education board if we agree to amend, or if the House agrees, we give back the weight that was with the district education board. You will see we'll be saving a lot of time and will remove all this backlog of reports that needed to be looked at by the county education board. Madam Speaker, you also look at the meager resources that are usually given to the county education board, Madam Speaker. And a lot needed to be done. Therefore, even having one board meeting, and they are supposed to conduct 3 board meetings to look at all that work coming from all the sub-counties, then you can see will not be giving the best of the services and saving time to our people or to our schools that are waiting for the report. Madam Speaker, if you look at the composition that is proposed by this bill for the sub-county education board, you'll find that we want to have the member of parliament for each of the constituency within the sub-county who shall be an ex-officio board member. For this function being of the national government, you'll find that most of the time that the members of parliament, especially of the single constituencies, sometimes need to add something onto the issues, especially when it comes to infrastructures of the school, so that we can be able to advise the board that this school, we have allocated this much from the NGCDF. And therefore, the school that will need funding from Jogo or from the government, apart from the resource of the CDF, is this and that. And that one, by having the member of parliament, will make sure that we are not giving funding to the same school, which will also be getting maybe funding from the ministry. Madam Speaker, we'll also have the sub-county director of education or a designate of the sub-county director of education. 3, Madam Speaker, we'll have the county executive in charge of education or a designate of the county executive in charge of education. 4, we'll have one person designate from the Teachers Service Commission. 5, Madam Speaker, we'll have 2 persons nominated by the Teachers Trade Union. We have NAT, we have KUPPET, and we would need to have a representation of each of those Teachers Trade Union. And lastly, Madam Speaker, we would require 2 educationists of at least 5 years studying based in the sub-county nominated by the Parent Teachers Association in the sub-county. In matters appointing the chairperson of the board, the Cabinet Secretary will ensure that during all this, not more than 2/3 of the members are of the same gender. Because, Madam Speaker, if at all this one is not clearly checked, sometime you may find all those categories of the members to be in the sub-county education board may be male or may be female. Therefore, it is good to make sure that the 2/3 gender rule is looked at so that every gender is represented. And at the same time, equal opportunities for persons with disabilities and other marginalized group is also checked so that all the interest of all the people within the locality is represented. And also make sure that all the appointees to the board reflect the interest of all sections of the society. Madam Speaker, when it comes to the chairperson of a sub-county education board, there is the qualification that I've stated here that he or she should be somebody who possesses a minimum qualification of a degree, and the members are also possess a minimum qualification of secondary education with the post-secondary certificate as an added advantage. Madam Speaker, we have to look at the qualification of the members of the sub-county education board, because we cannot put people who do not understand and who do not have the qualification, yet we are talking of people who will be looking at the interest of education. They must also be qualified, and the maximum we cannot limit. Here I'm only talking about the minimum qualification. When it comes to the member board appointment under Section 2, there shall be the secretary to the sub-county education board, and that will be the sub-county director of education. The staff of the sub-county education board shall be persons serving under the county public service board of the respective county. And the second schedule shall apply to conduct the business and affairs of a sub-county education board with the necessary modification, Madam Speaker, and except as provided in the second schedule, a sub-county education board may regulate its own procedure. Madam Speaker, the chairperson and members of this board shall be appointed for a term of 5 years and be eligible for the appointment for one further term. When it comes to the meetings, Madam Speaker, a sub-county education board shall hold meetings on a need basis at such places and at such times as the county education board shall consider all the necessary for the proper discharge of its function. Madam Speaker, we do not want to invite things like the remunerations, because majority of them, we want to get them from within the county, within the county public service board of the respective county, and therefore the remuneration they are getting from the department that they are in, this one will only call for a small allowance, because wherever they are coming from, they are being paid. And when it comes to meeting, it is on a needy basis. Notwithstanding subsection 1 that I've read earlier, the Sub-County Education Board shall not meet more than 4 times in each financial year. The members of the Sub-County Education Board shall be paid by the organization they represent in the board such allowances and disbursement for expenses as may be approved by the Cabinet Secretary in consultation with the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. Madam Speaker, a Sub-County Education Board may from time to time co-opt in its membership, such person not being more than 3 as it is satisfied that possess skills and experience necessary in the discharge of the function of the Sub-County Education Board. Madam Speaker, in this one, there may come an issue to do with any kind of construction, and you find that you need an architectural who may be not represented in the board. You may also need any other skill that is also not found within the membership of the members of the board. And those are such members that I'm saying they may be co-opted so that they can come and give the skill that is required. And Madam Speaker, you remember, within the county, we have all these people. We have the architectural and we have other, like the quantity surveyors, and therefore we are not going to look for these people from far. And it is only on the area and on the scale that we do not have within the membership of this. Madam Speaker, if the House supports and passes this bill, we will have several benefits that will make us be efficient, save a lot of time, and which will also assist in making sure the running in our institution, may it be the primary, the secondary, and any other tertiary which is present within that sub-county, will have several benefits, like 1, faster school registration and approval processes. Madam Speaker, we can also have an enhanced school monitoring and oversight because it is being done within the sub-county and not the county that may not be able to do exactly as per the demand, because we are saying some of the counties are very huge, they are very fast, and therefore with the sub-county, you can be assured that the monitoring and the oversight of whatever is happening in our schools, including even when it comes to discipline of our students or pupils in the schools. Madam Speaker, we also have reduced bureaucratic red tapes. And in this, Madam Speaker, I want to mean that schools will have direct access to decision-making authorities at the sub-county level instead of waiting for responses from county education board covering a large area, and this one may deter the immediate or the urgency that of such an issue may be required. Madam Speaker, with this also, we'll have increased community involvement in education management. Madam Speaker, the local education stakeholders will have a stronger voices in shaping policies and school development plans at the sub-county level. We have so many good stakeholders who always like to support education. And if all this is happening within the locality of the people who understand the terrain, and also who understand the stakeholders who are within, then you can see with the immediate effect, they can be able to convene and to get what is required, including some of those who always chip in their own way. Madam Speaker, also, we would have improved efficiency in teacher and resource allocation. Sub-county education offices will be better positioned to oversee staffing needs and resource distribution in schools within their respective jurisdiction without just waiting for the county education board to come and advise now that we have brought the Sub-County Education Board within the area where the schools are. Honorable Speaker, countries like South Africa, Canada, India, Rwanda have successfully implemented decentralized education management system. Madam Speaker, for example, in South Africa, local education district offices plays a critical role in decision making, reducing the bureaucratics that we are talking about of delays and improving school oversight all the time. Madam Speaker, the current centralized model has a gap, and the introduction of Sub-County Education Board will go a long way in resolving the challenges school faces today. Madam Speaker, when it comes, like I give an example in my constituency, because it is a first area, it is second in Radimans from Keharu, I found that there are so many areas where children walk more than 5 or 7 kilometers to access education. And you know, within our education policy, our children are supposed to access education with ease. And you find that when we start these schools, the issue to do with the registration takes such a long time. And Madam Speaker, sometimes you find that the parents or the local people within that area, like half of my constituency is allied, the parents cannot be able even to get the BOM teachers to pay. So sometimes you find it is the member of parliament who usually get into her or his pocket to pay the teachers, because the parents cannot be able to pay these teachers on levels of BOM. And therefore you will find this member will pay these teachers as if he or she is the TAC for such a long time, just because of the delay of the legislation, because it is such a long procedure before you get to the county to do the same. Madam Speaker, I urge my colleagues in this honorable house to support this bill. And I think with that, I will request, I beg to move and request Honorable Muthoni maybe to second. Thank you.
Honorable Muthoni, proceed to second.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to add my voice to this very important bill, and I want to thank Honorable Mary Wamahua for bringing this very important amendment, Amendment Bill 59 of 2023, so that we can look and review the educational structures in this country. Honorable Madam Speaker, it is important for us as a country to acknowledge that today we have devolution. And the purpose why we brought devolution, it is because devolution was meant to bring services closer to the people, so that the citizens of this country can fully enjoy the fruits of devolution. Madam Speaker, this is the main reason that this bill is aiming at achieving. Madam Speaker, I want to say the Basic Amendment Bill 2023 recommends the establishment of Sub-County Education Board, which will consist of a chairperson and 6 other members who are subscribed in this bill, Madam Speaker. And it is important to note that these members who will sit in this board are members who represent the various stakeholders. Madam Speaker, the various stakeholders are mentioned in this bill,
and it is important that they are all included in this compensation for proper running of these sub-counties. And the reason why this sub-county is equally very, very important, it is because the sub-county education board will be a statutory body to ensure the existence and functional services in our education setup. You'll realize, Madam Speaker, that in most cases, when something happens in our school, going to the centralized place where we have the education board established, it takes time because our counties are very vast, Honorable Madam Speaker. Our counties are very vast, and we have very many schools in these counties. And if we establish these sub-counties, then and decentralize the services, it will be easier for school management. It will be easier for us to monitor and know what is happening in every corner of our school. We have had issues, Honorable Speaker, where we have had school unarrests. And sometimes we have seen our students traveling just because they want their principal transferred. They travel, walk, wake up in the wee hours of the morning and travel to access a listening ear from the district education board, which is thousands and thousands of kilometers away. But if we establish this, the sub-county education board, then they'll be able to hear their grievances at a closer age. Madam Speaker, we have had schools which do not meet the threshold of becoming established schools. But because there is nobody closer to establish how these schools are run, then, Madam Speaker, we end up becoming more proactive, more reactive, instead of becoming proactive. Proactive in that I mean, if we have closer services of these sub-counties, we will be able to monitor and know what is happening at a cross range on a day-to-day basis. Honorable Speaker, I want to say the main reason of this bill, once again, it is because the decentralized units will ensure there is efficiency in running our learning institutions. There will be improved management in the way our institutions are run. There will also be enhanced coordination. I'm saying this, Madam Speaker, because if the people who are in this board come from the locality, it will be easier for them to meet with all the stakeholders from time to time and review what is happening in our education institutions. Madam Speaker, I want to note, like the time when this education model, funding model, the education funding model of our universities came, and then information was not reaching the intended consumers of this model. The parents did not know what the model is all about. The students who are beneficiaries did not know what the model was talking about, because these policies are established from the national office. They are disseminated to the education board. They don't reach anywhere else beyond that. And this education board, if it is active and proactive, the information policies will reach each and every corner of the beneficiaries within the shortest time. Then number 3, we'll have an opportunity of where the community will be engaged in their own affairs. Honorable Madam Speaker, it is important to note that education belongs, the consumers are every member of the community. And when we establish these education boards, the smaller unit, then the community will feel involved, because they will be involved on a day-to-day basis on their affairs. Then the policy reforms that will come from the ministry will be able to reach them on a timely manner all the time when they require it. Madam Speaker, then the same units will ensure that these same units provide us an opportunity of promotion and better access to education. Madam Speaker, why am I saying this? Because when this board sits, they'll be able to establish where there are gaps. They'll be able to know the schools which don't have enough teachers. They'll be able to establish the schools where they lack facilities like laboratories and other amenities. And when they sit, they'll now be able to establish where they need funding. And this can only happen when this service is devolved and services brought closer to the consumers. Madam Speaker, I want to say very fast that these proposed functions of the sub-county board, sorry, I have a code, but that notwithstanding, I'll continue. These established functions will ensure and make sure that the access to the budgetary allocation will be able to benefit the intended institutions directly without people going to say it is this institution as opposed to them accessing, doing monitoring and evaluating which institution requires this budget. Then, Madam Speaker, at the same time, it will also be easier for even the area member of parliament who will be an ex-officio in this board. The area member of parliament who will be an ex-officio will be able to consume timely information on how the schools are being run. Madam Speaker, it is important for all of us to acknowledge that sometimes it's difficult even for the member of parliament to know what is happening in every corner of the constituency. But when he is sitting in this board, it will be very easy for him to consume information and know the glaring gaps in his constituency so that he can be able to address them. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to urge this House to support this very important bill so that once we pass this bill, we can be able to reap the fruits of devolution fully. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dorothy. Honorable members, I now propose the question that the Basic Education Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 59 of 2023, be now read a second time. Honorable members, before we proceed with the debate, we have visitors. Seated in the public gallery this morning, we have Alista Mixed Secondary School from Dagoretti North, Nairobi County, Rockside Academy, Embakasi East Constituency, Nairobi County, and Gadega Gashero Secondary School from Mbere North Constituency, Embu County. You are welcome to the National Assembly to continue observing proceedings of the House. And I would like to give a chance to one of the members, the Honorable Beatrice Elachi. On behalf of the other members, please welcome our students.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, allow me in a special way first to welcome all the students and especially Alista Secondary Mixed from Dagoretti North. But to just tell them, since you are all schools, and I believe that is why you've come in the morning when we are also just talking about you in the basic education that we want to see how to streamline. But then to say, I've always said education is an equalizer. And it does not matter whether your mother at that time was selling changa or was selling gederi, but she took you to school for you to become who you are. And so they have an opportunity also that when you're in school, you don't think so much about what is happening home, but try and think so much. How can I ensure within my education system where my parents have decided to ensure I go to school so that I can change my life so that it will never be like my parent again? And that is what I want to pray to my daughters and sons. That indeed, even in this parliament, if everyone stands and gives you their story, they have passed through what you're passing. And so it is for you now to learn, read, take that education with your desire to see a better life. Make it your morning prayer, that when you wake up knowing, I am praying to my God that I'm going to school to make my parents proud. So the girls who are in the gallery, this is what I'll tell you. Everything has its time. And in your youthful time, you have a time to enjoy, you have a time to do all these things. But one thing you don't have a luxury to imagine, that you can be pregnant in school. That one you should remove from your head. That one is the worst principle you can have, that you want to try, have a boyfriend, do this. I pray to you girls, focus on education. These things are always there. They will be there even when you finish, and you will enjoy it at that time. For now, you have only one thing to do. My dear daughters and sons, read for yourselves. Prepare your destiny, your future, and it all lies in education. Thank you. Madam Speaker, it will be well if I can proceed to just comment a few words on this. Okay, Madam Speaker.
I know, Honorable Beatrice Elachi, you have been waiting. But honorable members, we have more students, and I would like also to finalize with them. And for those of you who are wondering what is on the forehead of the Honorable Beatrice Elachi, today is Ash Wednesday, which marks the beginning of Lent. That is why she has a very nice mark on her forehead. Honorable members, we have seated in the public gallery this morning, Green Edgewood Academy, students from Ruto constituency, Kiambu County, and we have Mamangina University College students from Gatundu constituency in Kiambu County. You are welcome to the National Assembly to observe proceedings of the House. And I would like to, because the Honorable Murungara will be the first in this debate, I give you a chance to also welcome the students as you proceed with the debate.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, allow me also to take this opportunity to welcome all the students of the named schools and colleges and universities who have come today to observe proceedings of the House. Let them feel welcome, especially by their leaders whom they elected, leaders who spend time here so that they are able to deliberate on issues that touch on them, and especially to ensure that they get the best of education in the country. Mine would be to encourage these young people, both young men and women, to study hard and to emulate their leaders so that tomorrow when the time comes, the country is not short of dignified leaders who will be elected, selected, and come to this parliament to represent the people of Kenya. Feel most welcome. Do well in your studies, including one school that has just been named from Beere North, Kavigagasheru Secondary School. Beere North borders Tharaka constituency. It is actually very similar in topography, and I know what is in Beere is what is in Tharaka, extending all the way to Kitui, and education is the only reliance we can have if we are to make our lives better. My 2 minutes are over now. I start to contribute on the proposed amendment to the Basic Education Act through the Basic Education Amendment Bill brought to this House by the Honorable Mary Wamawa, the great lady member of parliament for Maragua constituency in Murang'a County. May I begin by saying this is a timely bill that has been brought so that we can continue to move downwards from the top towards the bottom. We know very well that we used to have what were known as district education boards. They were DEBs, and most schools were established under DEBs. When the districts became counties, because there were 42 of them, and they became the 47 counties, because additional districts had been created between 1985 and 1992. We now had 47 counties, and the education boards were replicated in the counties. So the counties were able to get the county education board, but the many sub-counties which are now equivalent of districts do not have this board. This is the right time to establish a board that will sit at the sub-county headquarters to discuss matters education. Therefore, this bill is timely. We support it wholeheartedly so that we are able to establish these boards with or without amendments to it as proposed, because the issue of remuneration may be a little bit wanting, and I do not see why the government should not actually dedicate money so that when these members sit, they are able to draw an allowance like any other civil servant, any other person who is entitled to an allowance. While the functions of the sub-county education board are set out, and these are very important functions because we will now be devolving what we have at the county level to the sub-county level. We will in essence be saying we have education board services nearer to the people. Let those who want to do things at the basic level do it from the sub-county. Registration of schools is quite hectic because we only have one director of sub-county education and one director of TSC. With this board established, it would mean if we want to register new schools, and there cannot be any policy in the country that new schools would not be registered, because from time to time, the population is increasing, and also we have to shorten the distances between one school and the other. We do not want to have our children walking long distances to go to primary schools. We do not want our children walking long distances to go to day secondary schools. So we, at the end of the day, should be aiming at every village having a primary school and possibly a day secondary school, because of the 100% transition from primary school to secondary school. It means then every primary school must have a day school attached to it to accommodate the pupils. Therefore, these boards which we are about to establish will be very important in doing this and also ensuring that matters education are dealt with at that basic level. As I continue to praise what this happens, let me give this house an incident that took place in Tharaka Nithi County and in my constituency, Tharaka, where I think a board like this one would have solved the problem immediately. The teacher replacement recruitment exercise was being done at sub-county levels. And I do have 3 fully fledged sub-counties in the Tharaka constituency. These are Tharaka North, Tharaka South, and Chakariga. When the allocation of slots was done, Chakariga sub-county got a 0 allocation. And
Honorable Haro, someone is making you laugh very loudly. Normally, you are a very soft guy. So please, laugh in lower tones.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
To the civility.
It must be very
sure that
hilarious
for
for the
please
learned
proceed.
gentleman so that he's making himself quite happy in the morning, which I think is very good. But we continue with what happened to Chekariga. Chekariga got a 0 allocation, while Tharaka South was given 42 slots, which was a little bit curious, and Tharaka North was given 7 slots. So when I made inquiries, I was told the decision had been made by TSC. It had been communicated to the county director of education, and therefore, there is nothing that could be done. Of course, I took protests regarding this to this house and also to the TSC, and eventually, the TSC has directed the sub-county director through the county director through the sub-county directors to relook at the matter. What I'm trying to say here is, if we had sub-county education boards sitting at Chekariga, at Marimanti for Tharaka South, and at Gatunga for Tharaka North, this problem would not have escalated. They would have actually solved the problem promptly. They would have said there is no way we can allocate teachers this way. We cannot leave out this sub-county. We cannot give one more than the other, because there must be an element of equity when it comes to distribution, especially of the scarce jobs we have in this country. It goes without gainsaying that the level of unemployment is too high. There is huge competition when it comes to the few slots that are available. And mine would be to say, where 2 or 3 or 4 slots are available, they must be distributed equitably, if not equally. Therefore, this board would have actually solved such a problem. And we move on to have a board sitting at the sub-county headquarters, holding meetings there, discussing matters that are brought to them by the teachers, and especially the head teachers and the principals. Today, you get a problem regarding a school, you have to go all the way to the county headquarters to get the director. When you go to the sub-county director of education, he tells you his powers are limited because he does not have a board. So to ensure that we are served properly, our people are served properly at the local level, and sub-county is quite local, let us establish these boards, let's empower them, and on remuneration, I can assure you, we should consider moving the matter so that we are resourced properly and they are remunerated at the level from consolidated fund. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I beg to support.
Thank you very much, Honorable Murungara, very well spoken. The Honorable Beatrice Elachi, you had wanted to contribute on this matter.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to support and to thank the Honorable Wamaua for looking at this. And at this critical time when we are entering into the new system of CBC, where we really need to streamline so many things, Madam Speaker, that have just been so bad in the Ministry of Education. And I'm hoping in the Ministry of Education we shall also see change. Because you can't tell me you can be an expert for 30, 40 years. You can leave space and bring in new breath. That's what we want to see in the Ministry of Education. Having said that, Madam Speaker, I know there's something they call, the ministry normally calls sub-county, but you find they have no powers, they have nothing. That person is just there, wondering what to do. But it is time we really completely change the way Wamaua is saying and leave this thing. And we need to now streamline the roles so that the sub-county has more powers, because it is the one that is at the base of where all the schools are. And so you find yourselves running all over. You are today in a sub-county, especially the way right now, each constituency, nearly all now is a sub-county. So we need the board. Because if there's anything that is now taking us into a roller coaster that we can't understand, is the education sector, where every time you need to really consult because of CBC. And so, as we look at this, when I look at how the whole structure was put in, so the board was supposed to advise the CS. To date, I am wondering, Madam Speaker, where is quality assurance? What happened? Where is this team? We need it for CBC. But the Ministry of Education at Jogo has decided to completely muzzle this. And so we don't have anyone. Even now when we are crying, oh, School A has all, the private schools have finished, they have built all their classrooms, they have done I don't know what. Then we want to go to the same problem we've had with 844, where then public schools just become public schools. And when results are coming, we are about to say again, now the private schools are the ones taking over, the public schools are not doing well. Why? Because we have handed over the mistake we did in education 30 years ago, health 30 years ago. Those are the consequences we are finding ourselves in, Madam Speaker. So for me, indeed, if you want to promote the